When the gate has swung open, the water is going at full throttle at mid-tide. Through this one gate alone, there'll be something of the order of 40,000 gallons per second passing through where we are sitting now.
That's 7.2 million gallons per minute passing through all three gates here. Each 10-ton gate will be hung on huge hinges. The incoming flood tide will force the gates to open and allow water to pass through. Then when the tide turns, the natural head of water forces the upstream gate shut. The downstream gate swings open to allow the impounded water to flush the lagoons. This is the theory. To verify their findings, the team recruited local scientific help. Dr. Karim Raka and Dr. Khalid Al-Banna work at Qisr, the Kuwaiti Institute for Scientific Research. Both men were involved in remodeling the tidal flushing system to make sure there would be no danger of stagnation.
We found that there were some stagnant areas, so what will happen in these stagnant areas, you will start getting a deterioration in water quality, especially in the hot summer months when you have high water temperature and without any flushing or the water being renewed, you'll get water quality problems, and that we try to avoid, and that's why we introduced the tidal gates.
You need to flush it naturally with the tidal cycle. So when you have the gate, you force the flow to be moving in one direction where it can go through the stagnant point and can create more mixing.
Leaving nothing to chance, scale models of the gates were tested at one of the world's leading hydraulic research centres, the Danish Hydraulic Institute in Copenhagen. This proved that they could work. The incoming flood tide will open the gates at one end to allow water into a 3-kilometre section of the A3 lagoon. When the tide ebbs, the weight of the water in the impounded area will close the downstream gates, but at the same time force the upstream gates open, thus directing the trapped water to flow round the system. It's like a natural pump.
So whatever volume goes into this impounded area, which will be some millions of cubic metres, will be pushed around the development, and it'll make the water circulation very efficient. It'll ensure in the more landward areas of development that there's good circulation and therefore good water quality.
Ian Williams is checking the construction of the housings that will hold the tidal gates.
Well, the design is such that we can always isolate these culverts. Here we have the stop logs, guides which will be cast in shortly. What we have is large metal panels which will drop in both this end and the far end, allowing us to pump all the water out so that we can get and maintain the gates if we need to.
If all goes to plan, the entire lagoon system will be flushed and kept healthy using only the power of nature.
The amount of pumping equipment that you would need to push this round, in itself, it's an initial major capital cost. But most important, once you commit yourself to pumping, you pump forever.
Building a self-flushing water system at the heart of the project solved one problem, but there are other, more surprising challenges. Once the lagoons have been dug, attention turns to forming the beaches, one of the prime selling points of the site. Eventually, there will be almost 250 kilometers of new beaches here. You might think it's easy to find sand in a desert nation, but this is the wrong sort of sand for beaches. There is a solution. Wash it. All of it. 4 times. Every day, working day and night, they wash and sift 4,000 tons of sand. What they are looking for are large, coarser grains which are perfect for making into beaches. But there have been setbacks.
We have problems in A1. We had the sand that was put on to our project had a lot of fine sand and had some silt in it. So we had to dike A1, dewater the whole thing, clear it, take all the water, take all the silt out, take all the sand out and wash it, and then put it back in.